What's up, everybody, and welcome into today's video. We are talking about the 2008 housing crisis, the crash of real estate back in 2008. Are we reliving that right now in 2024? We're going to be looking at the current real estate market and comparing it to the real estate crash of 2008 and asking, are we even in a housing crisis as it stands right now in 2024? I think you'll see some people, yeah, it's a crisis. Other people are benefiting dramatically from the current real estate market. And that's what we do here. We make money in real estate, and we're grateful to be part of your journey in being a real estate investor. And we are full-time real estate investors. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the CREAM. That stands for Cash Flow, Real Estate, and Money. As I said, we're full-time investors. We have a robust flipping business that brings in over 6 figures every month. And we own and manage a portfolio valued over $50 million. And we're here to help you on your journey and grateful to be part of your journey. And we coach other people to be successful in real estate, regardless of what the market is doing. There's always a bull market somewhere. It's our job to sniff it out, and we can make money in any real estate market if we know what we're doing. And that's what we're here to talk about. So 2008, everybody, are we in the housing crisis? Is it similar to 2008? Are we back to 2008? Is the housing market going to crash? Well, here's the thing, everybody. The way I look at it, the current state of the current market here is for home buyers. Yeah, absolutely. It's a crisis. For home sellers, it's a windfall of wealth. Why is it a crisis for buyers? Because there's no inventory out there. The median price for an existing home in the U.S. is at an all-time high. Prices are at an all-time high right now, and there's no inventory because all the people, all the home owners, all the home sellers, that should say home owners, not home sellers. Home owners, if you already own a home, more than likely, you got a low interest fixed rate mortgage on that thing. You're sitting back. Why would you want to sell and pay off that low interest mortgage and then go have to buy something new at a higher interest rate and pay an all-time high price? It doesn't make sense. So a lot of home owners are sitting back. They don't want to sell. They're just chilling. They got their 3-4% mortgage. They have zero interest in selling and then having to go buy something and increasing their monthly expenses, because that's what would happen. If you go buy a new house and you're paying a retail price and you're using a 7% mortgage, now your bills just went up. So a lot of home owners, they're not sellers. They're just sitting back and sitting on their low interest mortgages, and that's keeping the inventory low. So for home buyers, it's a crisis because there's nothing to buy right now. And anything that you do buy, you pretty much are paying a all-time high price, and you got to use a 7% mortgage for that. Now, the Fed, our good old friends at the Federal Reserve, they got the semi-annual financial stability report, and what they use is the Labor Department's measure of rent. I know that's a mouthful here, but the Fed is looking at interest rates, and the Fed is looking at basically rent. They use something called the owner's equivalent rent, and they're looking at the Labor Department's measure of rent, and that's how they basically determine that right now, homes are as overvalued as they were back in 2007. That was like peak housing crisis. That was right before basically a windfall of foreclosures, a glut of foreclosures, and everything started to implode in 2008. But right at the peak in 2007, homes were overvalued based on the Fed's reporting. In 2007, homes were overvalued by 27%. As it stands right now, in 2024, they're saying, based on the same metrics, we are 25% overvalued in comparison to 27% in 2007. It's pretty close, right? It's very comparable. Homes being overvalued in 2007 versus today is very, very similar to what obviously led these overpriced homes in 2007 led to a massive housing crisis, which was massive foreclosures. And let's check in with our old friend here, Mr. John Burns. If you're not familiar with John Burns, he's quoted a lot in the Wall Street Journal, and that's where I got this data from, was him being quoted in the Wall Street Journal. I've got to meet John Burns before. His stuff is gold. I highly encourage you look into this guy. Burns Research. He's constantly just providing data on the real estate market. And he was quoted in the Wall Street Journal. He's saying every single part of the country is overvalued relative to its history. They're saying 24% in Northern California, 37% overvalued in Southern Florida. And Burns Research, they estimate that the underlying, this is an important one, the underlying U.S. demand for homes exceeds supply by 2.1 million units, whereas in 2009, supply exceeded the demand by 1.9 million. So this is the major difference here, everybody. What they're saying, let me repeat this. This is important. Right now, the demand is exceeding the supply by 2.1 million units. Back in 2009, when things were imploding, 2008, 2009, supply exceeded the demand, and that drove the prices down. Everything comes down to supply and demand. Right now, the demand for housing is higher than the supply. There's no supply because no one is selling, right? So many people are just sitting back on their low interest mortgages, and that's why the inventory is so low. Back in 08, back in 09, there was tons of inventory hitting the market because everybody was foreclosing, right? What was going on back in 08 through 2011? Actually, that's when the decline started. Really, the lax underwriting and the loans and the financing, it started back in like 04, 05. People started, everybody qualified for a loan back then. This is what led to the implosion of the real estate market. There was lax underwriting. They used to do something, everybody. This is just mind-blowing. And if you're somebody who's in your 20s, you don't remember this stuff. I was new to the game. I was starting my wholesaling career back in 2005. That's when I started in real estate. And I didn't understand this stuff like I do now. But I remember just a huge frenzy. Everybody qualified for a loan. I was getting second and third mortgages out against houses. I completely went belly up in 08 and 09. I didn't know what I was doing, right? I learned a lot of lessons from them from that time. But back then, they were doing something called ninja loans. That is no income, no job, no assets. You don't even have to have a job, right? It's all stated income. You just say what your income is, whether it's true or not, and they'll give you a loan. So since everybody qualified for mortgages, everybody was out there buying houses, and obviously that demand is through the roof. If everybody qualifies for a mortgage, everybody's house shopping, they're all bidding against each other, driving the prices up, 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 and taking on tons of high leverage. They were taking on all these adjustable rate mortgages. And then basically when everything imploded, that's when all these foreclosures created massive supply. Prices ended up falling, obviously, because so many homes were hitting the market. And let's compare that, these ninja loans and high leverage and whatnot, to today. So right now, the appraisal standards are much, much higher than they were back in the heyday of ninja loans and everything that we just discussed. The credit scores, their underwriting standards have increased vastly, right? So they're making people actually be a qualified borrower, right, before they just give you a loan. So the credit scores have improved. Way more people, and I think about between 60 and 70% of all mortgages out there are fixed rate, low interest mortgages, right? It's a lot different than it was back in the heyday when everybody's using adjustable rate mortgages. It's literally a polar opposite. The borrowers today are a much higher standard and caliber than they were back in the heyday. So it can't really compare, right? 2008 to 2024, simply because the borrowers, the homeowners are much more qualified. The appraisal standards have increased so much, right? And John Burns is saying, hey, this is, affecting us as real estate investors. He says, from a landlord's perspective, this is not a good time to be buying homes because the rental yields are still very low. That's what Burns said. Indeed, he said, publicly traded real estate trusts, REITs, have pulled back, though private equity is still buying up apartments. So John Burns, who I highly respect, I've already told you I highly respect this guy. He's sitting here saying it's not a good time for us as landlords. It's not a good time for us as real estate investors. What are we supposed to do? My main man here, John Burns, is saying from a landlord's perspective, it's not a good time. Why? Because the rents are not keeping up with the values. The values are going up, but the rents are not increasing at the same pace as the values. That's what this means when he says the rental yields are very low, right? If you're paying retail for a property, the rent is not keeping up with this charging with these inflated real estate prices. So it's not a good time for landlords, according to Burns. But what Burns is not taking into effect here or taking into consideration is here on this channel and us as real estate investors, we're not paying retail for anything around here. We're buying deeply discounted properties because we go after off-market properties. This is all of his data. I mean, the majority of people who are buying houses, selling houses, they're doing it on the retail market. We do not have a retail mindset. We buy properties routinely at 50 and 60 cents on the dollar. He's not taking that into consideration. That's what we do, though. That's what you do as a successful real estate investor. That's what we do as well. We're buying these things so cheap where the rental yields now do make sense. We bought 2 rental properties last week, and we bought these properties roughly 60 cents on the dollar, all in. I'm talking purchase and rehab. You got to buy these things low, right? And then the rental yields, then the rent actually makes sense. You could create a positive cash flow. Obviously, if you're paying these, inflated real estate prices, these all-time high prices, no, then it doesn't make sense from a landlord's perspective. But if you know how to buy the way we do and the way we teach you how to do, going off market, doing some marketing, working with motivated sellers, right? Constructing offers that work for the seller and work for you and your business at the same time, buying properties in their as-is condition, adding value to these properties, increasing value to these properties. That's what this business is all about. That's how you succeed as a real estate investor. So what do we need to do? In summary, first off, no, we're not anything like 2008 right now. We're not going to see a massive glut of inventory pouring onto the marketplace like we did in 2008, driving the prices down. Why? Because the homeowners right now are far more qualified buyers than they had back in 2008. So don't expect prices to come tumbling down anytime soon. What do we need to do to be successful? Straight up, we're not paying these all-time high prices. We need to be buying at wholesale prices. We need to go off market to find motivated sellers to buy from. This is how it is. And we need to raise private money so we can buy these properties and borrow all the money that we need to buy houses, to fix houses, and that comes down to relationships. We did a coaching call today, and we got one of our clients, coaching students, who's looking to raise some money. I'm like, this is a personal relationship business. Get into your phone. People ask us all the time, where do I find the private lenders? They're in your cell phone. But you cannot outsource relationships. You cannot take away the people element of being successful in business. You must stay in touch. You must focus on relationship capital. It is essential. And these are people who are going to help you in your business become private lenders. You can buy these discounted properties. The way to succeed in this market or any market is to buy good deals. You're not going to find these good deals on the MLS. I'm sorry. Maybe occasionally you will, but not at the low prices that we're trying to buy. You got to go off market. That's what we teach you how to do. We teach you how to do that on this channel, everybody. Lead generation, going off market. We're doing PPC. We're buying data. We're going after motivated sellers, buying these houses, adding value to these houses, buying them in their as-is condition, fixing these properties up, and we're either going to sell that property for a profit or we're going to refinance that, do a cash out refinance, and add that property to our portfolio. But you make your money when you buy. You get paid when you sell. So we are not anything like the 2008 market right now. There's still a lot of money to be made right now. There's always money to be made in real estate. What it comes down to at the end of the day is finding good deals, buying good deals. Make sure you like this video if you found it useful, if you found any of these data points useful in your real estate business. Make sure you subscribe. We are constantly talking about real estate every single day. And everybody, I appreciate each and every single one of you. This channel is growing. I see you. I appreciate you very much. I will be back at it with my next video Monday through Friday. Today's Friday. I might be in here doing another one. There's a lot to talk about here, guys, but I appreciate each and every single one of you. This is something I'm passionate about. Everybody, we will see you soon.